Hey guys, it's Sarah with Sarah Speaks, and I wanted to talk to you guys about what may or may not be going on with this whole Meghan Markle and Prince Harry going to this mental health summit next week, quite frankly. So, as we have all found out, they are actually, let me get the name of this organization correct. So, they are taking place in this Project Healthy Minds Summit that has apparently been in the works for quite a while. This seems to be the second year for this summit. And I just wanted to take a look at the press release that went out with you for People Magazine. And then I want to move on from Meghan and Harry and show you some of the connections that I was able to find between the wealthy and the powerful in conjunction with this particular event. So let's just look at this. So let me get to the next image. And I wanted to actually, what I want to show you is So what I want to show you is actually, here, let's move this over a little bit. As you can see, I like stack things up. I want to show you how we know this is a press release. Now, in the previous slide, I'll throw it up here, we saw that there are actually bylines on this particular story. And I have a feeling that those bylines are actually because of the copy at the bottom of the story, which we're not actually going to go into because I don't think that's relevant. I think what's relevant is actually this top part of the copy. You guys can go over to People Magazine. Let me transition this over. There you go. Now you can see it all. You guys can go over to People Magazine and you can actually read the whole article. It was a People exclusive, not, a couple days ago. Oh, Meghan and Harry are coming to this mental health summit. And the way this press release is written is like a press release that has been written by someone who's not familiar with writing press releases. And what actually gives it away in a huge way is this particular paragraph here. It's actually the third paragraph down. And it says the Archwell Foundation will host the Archwell Foundation Parent Summit Mental Wellness in a Digital Age. Now, what they don't tell you is this is actually just a breakout session for this particular summit. And it goes on to say to give voice to families who are passionate about building a safer online world for children and teens. So I'm not sure what they know about children and teens since their children are 2 and 4, but we're going to leave that to a side. We're just looking at how we know this is actually a press release that was just thrown in here. And then it says the conversation will explore how we, okay, so there's the smoking gun, we. No news article is going to feature a first person plural pronoun. And anyone who knows how to write press releases is not going to include them either, especially when it is not in quotes. There are no quotes here. And this was the thing that struck me about this article initially. So if there were quotes were right here in front of the and afterwards, and it was separated into another paragraph like this is, where it says the families have been engaged with the Archwell Foundation for the past year. So, to me, this is all it's just fluff. It's copy. I shouldn't call it fluff, but it is copy. But that particular word, we, shows us that at least the top part of this is a press release, and what it looked like they did on the bottom is they just added copy that had already been written by those authors or those journalists who have their bylines at the top, just to expand it out, which is very commonplace now. And we see it in a lot of different articles just all over the web on a lot, quite frankly, on a lot of different topics. You get the first 3 or 4 paragraphs that are kind of the new stuff, and then they have to recap everything. But I wanted to show you this because, I mean, I don't think Meghan and Harry are really the main players in this. It looks like just a breakout session. Unfortunately, it is with the Surgeon General, and that did catch my eye. Initially, I was like, oh yeah, this is probably just one of those things that, you know, it's being blown out of proportion. But then I was like, why is the Surgeon General involved with this? Why is the Surgeon General involved with that? There's a lot of connections. There's a lot of connections behind the scenes. But I really do believe with Harry and Meghan, that part of it, there's this old saying that says all press is good press. And this may have been a calculated move by the organizers to get more press to this particular event and organization. So they've got to know that the press around Meghan and Harry is negative. And obviously, we know that there is a resurgence in articles trying to repair the continual damage to their brand. So I'm sure that there was a connection, and I'm going to show you what I think the connection is between this particular organization and WME. And I don't think Harry and Meghan are as important as it seems like they are. I think what they were used for, quite frankly, was to get more eyes on this. Because who would have known about it? The hoi polloi, us, would not have known about this, most of us, if Harry and Meghan had not been involved. And not only that, they were added so late into the game that it just looks like they were slid in. But I want to go over with you, I think it's important to look at the press release for this particular event before Harry and Meghan were even attached to it. And that shows us something a little deeper that's going on, how Harry and Meghan actually ended up in this particular event and what this particular organization that's put it on may be about. So let's go on over to the original press release. Okay, so this is the original press release, or at least the one that I found, came out on September 28th. It is from Business Wire, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company, a Warren Buffett company. Now, does that mean that it's not accurate? I don't know. I don't think we can we can surmise in any way about that. But I find this really interesting because it is really it's a press release about the organization and or the event. But it tells us a lot. So it tells us about the event, and it tells us about all the, the movers and shakers, so to speak, who are involved, which, as we know, Harry and Meghan were not involved at this point. And it tells us about the gala, this and that. But this is the first thing that caught my eye about this. So these are the sponsors. So lead sponsors are always put in order of how much money they have donated or in kind they have donated. And then it usually goes by alphabetical order, but this looks like it's all in order of how much was donated. So the related companies is actually a real estate company, the Deerfield Foundation, and we're going to see them again. They're named twice. They are actually a foundation that focuses on medical and basically medical and health well-being. I'm not quite even sure how to phrase that. And they're a worldwide organization. They're a foundation, obviously a nonprofit. This is what I thought was interesting was the Royal Bank of Canada is one of the supporters of this, the sponsor. So this is a pretty big event. There's a lot of breakout sessions. There's big names involved. And it just, I'm just like, my little brain is like, going 5 million miles an hour looking at this because there's a lot. So the gala sponsors are, again, the Related Company, the Colts, NBC Universal, Music Group, again, Canada, Royal Bank of Canada, Pfizer, a pharmaceutical company, MediaLink, and then Paramount, the Wasserman Foundation, Mount Sinai Health. So these are, and JP Morgan Chase, these are really big sponsors. And why are they sponsoring this? I could not quite figure out what this particular event was supposed to be for. I'm not sure if it's meant to raise awareness on mental health issues or if it's meant to give people apps or resources to help deal with their mental health. Now, we know that not just in the US, but all over the world since the pandemic in particular, it was like it before the pandemic, but the pandemic just exacerbated the issue. There's been a mental health crisis. It is getting worse. And this particular organization and this particular summit is to focus on millennials and Gen Z, which is what we see on their board of directors here. But before we get to the board of directors, I want to show you the media contact, which is the lead company. So who is the lead company? Well, we're going to hop over to another website and we're going to check it out. So the lead company is actually a communications company, PR company. And when you first do a really quick search, it looks like it's based in Paris, and now it is, but it wasn't always based in Paris. And this is part of the rabbit hole that we're going into about how the connections work between all these people. So this particular article was written June 23rd of this year. And it says the lead company acquires Paris-based agency OBCM. So who are they? So the Hollywood publicity firm, the lead company. So initially, until June of this year, they were actually in Hollywood. So they purchased the Oliver Bourget Communications and Marketing, and they changed the name of OBCM, which is in Paris, and they changed it to Lead Paris. And they represent, the combined agency represents clients like Amy Schumer, Cara Delevingne, Charlize Theron, Emma Stone, Gail Garcia, Halle Berry. So all these people, right? Paramount, Netflix, Hulu. So these guys are really big players. So they know everyone. And you just scratch the surface, and what do you learn? You learn that Amy Schumer signed with WME, sorry, I'm taking my glasses on and off, in 2018. Now, since these are such big players in the entertainment industry, I would say a good portion of them are represented by WME. And of course, who do we also know is represented by WME? Meghan Markle. And we also know that Prince Harry is not represented by them, which I always find is a little fascinating. So there is this connection, right? The PR firm for this mental health summit is a PR firm that is very powerful in the celebrity world and represents clients who are represented by WME. And I don't think we can take these types of connections for granted. So that is the first thing that I wanted to show you, that I think if we just do a little bit of digging, we can then see how all of these people thread together. It's like watching a little thread go from one person to another person to another person to another person. And on the surface of it, you go, that may not be too bad. Everybody's, connected by, what is it, 7 degrees of separation? I think it's 7 degrees. At the same time, Hollywood celebrity world is very small, as is political world, as is corporate world, and they do overlap. And I don't think it does any of us in the hoi polloi any good to forget that they overlap. I also think it's important to see how people are being used within their ecosystem. Like I said earlier, I don't think Harry and Meghan are players in this. Foolishly, they seem like the type who foolishly think that they are. And of course, we know from some reports, the residents of New York City do not want them back in their city after that debacle of what happened earlier this year in that fictitious car chase. My opinion. So these guys are not players. Foolishly, they think they are, but they are bringing the publicity. They're bringing the eyeballs. So they do have value still within these ecosystems. But what I wanted to do is actually go back to the board of directors for the mental health organization. And I want to look at two of them in particular and what may actually be going on with this push for mental health awareness and helping people. And it may not be as benevolent as it looks on the surface. So let's take a look at that. So here we are actually on the Project Healthy Minds website, which is the organization that's actually putting on this summit in New York next week. And I wanted to show you the team. And as you can see, they're looking like they're pretty much millennials and Gen Z. First of all, what I wanted to do was I wanted to focus on this particular woman, Laura Vang. And what actually caught my eye about her, she seems very well accomplished, actually. And that's the thing you have to remember with these people is they're usually highly educated, very well accomplished. They've worked in both private and public sector. And what actually caught my eye with her was head of product, which made me go, what kind of product are we talking about with mental health? Are we talking about people? Hoi polloi? Are we the product? Are we talking about apps that can be made, make money off the hoi polloi? What is the product? Is the product the data that is gathered from the hoi polloi who are signing up for newsletters? And the reality is there's a mental health crisis in this country. And people are trying to figure out how to monetize it. That is just, that's basic. That's beyond this group, right? Apps, therapy apps, home apps. All these apps, meditation apps. And I want to show you actually I call it the product page that's actually on this website. So let's take a look at that. So now we are on they call it the resources part of the website. Sorry, I'm laughing because, there seems to be some resources, but a lot of them are apps owned by private companies. And most of these apps have in-app purchases. So what is happening? I don't know. It sure looks like somebody's making money off of this mental health crisis. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't be helped by this, and I don't want to even suggest that may not be the case. But I think when you start adding money into healthcare and mental health crises and private companies that are supplying these apps, we don't know who's developing these apps. We don't know what the in-app purchases are. It doesn't look like there's a lot of regulation over them. I mean, if they say that they're entertainment apps instead of mental health and wellness apps, or if they just say they're health and wellness apps, there's not a lot of regulation. So I think it's really important to point this out. So they really do, I mean, they kind of cover everything: stress, depression, anxiety, trauma, grief, relationship issues, and then you can browse by resource type: meditation, teletherapy, sleep, exercises, peer support, education, therapist directives. And then let's just click. Let me see if I can click on one of these. Okay, grief. Okay. So all of us at one point or another are going to go through grief, whether it's you lose a relationship or someone you love passes away. It is incredibly challenging to go through. It's incredibly long lasting. And what you do is you learn to live with it. You don't ever get over it. But this is what I thought was interesting. Here we are, grief, right? Teletherapy, helplines, education, actually. And then what they're doing, and you can't see it. I'm sorry, I'll throw up another picture of the actual site. They ask people who want information to give them their name and email and submit it. Looks kind of good on the surface. Maybe you're going to get the mental health help you need. At the same time, they're gathering data. They're gathering people's information. There's so many local resources for mental health help, even in rural counties. Hospices usually have grief counseling, local hospitals, local behavioral health departments for your county or your city, public health, your local public health departments. They all have local resources. So again, I don't know quite what this organization is needing to really be here on this scale and why they need to have this summit. I don't know who it's for. I do know that when we look at the founder, he has some interesting ties. So let's go over to him. So here we are. This is the founder of Project Healthy Minds, right? Looks like a pretty happy guy. So let me get into the Interact, and they also, I do want to point out, so need help now, text home 741-741 for free, 24/7 crisis counseling. Now, there is a mental health number that you can contact already. I think it's 988. I'll correct that at the bottom of the screen if that's not it. That is actually the national hotline. I want to look it up right now because I don't want to give you guys wrong information on that. And that was just started, 988 Suicide and Crisis hotline. And it's available 24 hours a day, and it plugs you into your local resources. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. They have this on here. Why aren't they using the number? Why aren't they using the number that connects you with local resources so you can get your local resources, local support? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, so here we go. Like I said, happy guy. Looks like a happy guy. Phil Shermer, founder and CEO. He has quite the resume. And when I was bouncing around trying to kind of like look for more information on him, it's interesting because most of the time, all you're finding, or all I was finding, was this same bio, right? Same information, right? Worked for BlackRock, which, as we know, pretty much own the world. Um, had a invented consumer technology product that won the firm's global hackathon. God knows what that is. I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. The technology basis of a joint venture with Microsoft. So the guy's successful, right? He worked in Obama White House as an intern for the National Economic Council. That's interesting. And of course, he has ties with entertainment. Warner Brothers Entertainment. He worked on the movie set of The Dark Knight Rises for Summit Entertainment. They were the ones who produced Twilight. Um, if I'm wrong, I'll write it in there, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. And he also worked, this is music as well, because he worked on U2's 360 tour. So obviously he has some sort of a affinity for music, but this guy actually hits it all. He hits politics, he hits private sector, and he hits entertainment. So I was trying to find out, when did he serve on as an intern in the Obama administration, and I was not able to find a date. I was hesitant to go on LinkedIn because LinkedIn tracks everything. And I just was like, this must have been mid 2000, like maybe 2015, early 2000, maybe 2012, 2013. I don't know how old this guy is. So I'm thinking it was in that time frame. But I wanted to show you what else I found, because I wanted to find out. I was like, what the heck is the National Economic Council place? So let's go take a look at it. Okay, so we're at the White House National Economic Council, and basically it tells us that it was established in 1993, and this was actually from the Obama White House archive, which I found kind of interesting. But it is a office that resides within the Office of Policy Development and is part of the Executive Office of the President. And it has four principal functions, and that's to coordinate policy making for domestic and international economic issues. That's money, 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 money. To coordinate economic policy for the president, to ensure that policy decisions and programs are consistent with the president's economic goals, and to monitor implementation of the president's economic policy agenda. So now we know. Let me roll you back up. So this guy sat on the White House National Economic Council, and we know that he has ties with politics, private sector, and entertainment, which you consider private sector, but I consider them a different silo. So then I'm like, there's not a lot on this guy except his bio. I'm like, has he spoken somewhere? Has he done something? So this is what I found. And so let's go to a different webpage, guys. All right, so you can't actually see this part of it, but I'm going to read it to you. So in 2022, this guy was part of a strategic leadership forum. He was one of the speakers that was talking about Project Healthy Minds. Is mental health the next big ESG issue? Remember that, ESG issue. So he's third down. So he's not really high on the list, but he's there. And of course, it's that same bio. This is over a year later, year and a half later. It's got the same bio. He's spoken at this event. So of course, I'm like, what is an ESG? Now remember, Project Healthy Minds, is mental health the next big ESG issue? ESG issues. So let's go take a look at that. So what is ESG investing? It's investing. So we take a look at this Forbes article written this year, updated actually 2023. So ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. What is ESG investing? So we'll just go through this just a little bit. When you choose ESG investing, you're putting your money to work in companies that strive to make the world a better place. This type of ethical investing strategy helps people align their investment choices with their personal values, which all sounds really good until you realize that they are making money off of people's mental health issues, their physical, medical issues, and any other type of issues that should really be handled by true nonprofits that are working in a truly moral way and not by nonprofits who are looking to improve investments for people who invest their money in private companies. So it's a money trail. It's a money trail. So this guy, Phil Shermer, was the speaker last year, 2022, talking about the advent, the down the road probability, and this is my opinion from that headline, that ESG investing, mental health ESG investing, is the next big investment cash cow. And to my mind, whatever good this particular summit is doing is outweighed on the scales because you have people running it who are leading individuals who need help to apps with in-app purchases. They are not coordinating with local departments and mental health facilities and mental health departments and hospices and local hospitals where people actually need to get help from their local communities. And what does that do? You become even more isolated from your local community, and all you're doing is connecting with people online, and this is an issue. And all the while, you're setting up, people are setting up, not you, not me. We're just hoi polloi. We don't have too much power except for our votes in the US and other democratic countries. But it puts money into investors' pockets. And you may be okay with that. But I actually am not okay with putting money in investors' pockets when people are not getting the mental health help, the grief help, the trauma help that they need. And that is all I have to say about that topic today. I may end up coming back to it because when I started looking into this, this is way bigger than Meghan and Harry. They're window dressing. They're not even that important. All they're doing is bringing publicity. It's the deep well of this and the interconnectedness of all these people creating summits so that private companies can make money for their investors. And again, that's my opinion. So let me know what you think. If you like my channel, like, comment, let me know, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you say about this issue, actually. And if you have any information that maybe I, did not get correct, or you want to add to what I said, I would love to hear your opinions. So we'll talk to you next time, guys. Bye.